Alrighty, calves, hamstrings, and our thighs. Let's do it. I do want to start with a little bit of rolling for the calves. And Tuesday night we did this, and I think all of you have done this with me, so you know there's multiple ways that you can roll the calves. You could also use a foam roller if you have a foam roller. But my favorite way is with the two balls from a kneeling position. So you tuck one ball to the back of each knee. And then you sit back towards the heels. And if you just have one ball, you can do one side at a time. And then periodically, you'll slide those balls down a little lower and work your way down the back of the leg. Now, if this is too much knee flexion or uncomfortable to put the weight on your hands, then you could use one ball or two balls toted in front of you and move the leg around and just use the hand to slide the ball down. Or like you would with a foam roller, you can put weight in your hands and lift your hips up and slide up and down. Ooh. And make all the sound effects that you need to. And you might try a few of these techniques. And there's other ways to do this. You can use different size rolling tools. If you have ones with little knobs on them, they're not my favorite, but I know a lot of people like those. Okay, if you're working just one side at a time, maybe take your last few breaths and then switch. How's your jaw? Mine is definitely locked up right now. Okay, maybe a little more than 30 seconds. I want to make sure you get all the way down to that Achilles tendon, whatever strategy you're using. All right, take your last few breaths, and then when you're done, you can move the tools off to the side. Come onto your back and have your strap close by. You won't need it straight away, but just knowing that you can reach out and grab it easily. And then when you lie down on your back, we're going to take a couple moments just to continue to land, or any movement you want to make, anything you want to do with the legs. A few breaths just to integrate that first little bit of rolling, and maybe to integrate the morning you've had. Anything that's imprinted already in the body and the nervous system that you're bringing with you into your practice. And then with that, there might be a clear intention or reason for being here. Something you want to honor for yourself. The way you want to move and take care of yourself with the next hour or so. And then let that next breath be a little slower, a little longer. And same for the exhale, just letting it leak out of you. And then you'll bring your right knee in. We're gonna do a little self massage now for the hamstrings. So you're gonna put your hands, your fingers actually, into the back of the thigh with your knee bent. So with the knee bent, that hamstring is slack, and you should be able to kind of move around the muscle. It should be a little more malleable. So you can dig in pretty strongly. These muscles are thick, they're resilient. So you push in and keep pushing in and straighten the leg as much as you can. So then you feel, ooh, that little zing, that little pressure. And then you'll bend the knee again. You can slide the fingers a little higher or a little lower, dig in, and then straighten the leg. And you're going to do this all up and down the back of the leg from the direction of the knee towards the sitting bone. I kind of started in the middle. It doesn't really matter which system you take here. And there's 4 hamstrings, so they don't just run down the center of the leg. You can move the fingers a little bit out to the sides and dig in. But I want you to get a sense of maybe where things feel more tender, maybe where things feel a little tighter or more resistant to your pressure. Okay, 30 more seconds, same side. Get that last spot or two. Good. And then release the hands. If you need to shake out the wrists, if that felt like a lot of work, maybe give the leg a shake or just slide that leg forward or place the foot back on the ground. Take a few breaths. Hopefully feeling an increased blood flow, just that awareness of circulation through the leg. The adjective that comes to mind for me is space. Or spacious, I guess would be the adjective. All right, then bend that knee if it's not, and go to the left side. Same thing. So you bring the knee in. With the knee bent, you dig in with your fingers, keep the pressure as you straighten the leg. And then explore the whole back of the thigh. And you don't have to stay central. And move out towards the periphery. How does this leg compare? For me, it's noticeable straight away. Which side is my dominant side? Which side takes a little bit more of the labor? Okay, last 30 seconds. And then releasing in your own way, just like you did on that right side. Shake out the leg or the arms, the wrists. And then a moment to pause to expand your awareness, include all sensation up and down that left side. All right, bending the knee again. Grab your strap. We're going to do that passive hamstring stretch using the strap around the bottom of the right foot to start, or belt, or whatever you're using. And since we're emphasizing calves and hamstrings in class today, I'm going to ask that you take the strap a little bit closer towards the toe side of the foot, so towards the ball of the foot, and not worrying so much about how close you pull that leg in towards you. It might be a good distance in front of you, but think more about the angle of the foot. So the heel is pushing up towards the ceiling and the toes are pulling down towards the shin. Oh, could barely get that out. My calf had a lot to say. And then let your head be heavy, shoulders, spine, pelvis, sinking into that support. Up to you if the left knee is bent or straight. And let's take 3 breaths here. So inhaling, exhaling 1, inhaling, exhaling 2, inhaling, exhaling 3. And then get yourself over to that second side. Take a break if you need it. My wrists and hands are taking a little beating today. And then you'll slide that strap closer towards the ball of the foot. Remember, the heel is going up, the toes are pulling down. Not caring so much about how close you get that leg to you. And then decide what you want to do with that right leg, bent or straight. And let's take 3 breaths on this side together. Inhaling, exhaling 1, inhaling, exhaling 2, inhaling, exhaling 3. And bend the knees, slide the strap off, just set it to the side. And then you'll bring the soles of the feet together, knees open. Last few kind of passive stretches here, just warming up these muscles that we're going to target. So now getting into the inner thighs. Probably can feel that straight away, at least for me, it's noticeable. We're going to keep the left leg where it is and actually slide your left hand to the top of the thigh, and not so much pushing down, but just the reminder to keep that leg weighted. The left leg stays heavy. And then you have the option, you can bring the right knee in. So you hold onto that knee or the shin with the right hand, or take it into a half happy baby. And you do not have to grab the foot. You can grab the calf, you can grab the back of the thigh. Sole of the foot is up towards the ceiling. And then think about the knees moving away from one another on a diagonal line. So it's like that left knee wants to go forward into the left, the right knee wants to go up and to the right. Good. And then keep that right leg and your half happy baby or that knee tucked in. Bring your left knee up towards the ceiling. And then straighten that left leg out any amount. Doesn't have to go completely straight. And now stretch out through that left heel. And you might be able to bring that right thigh a little closer down towards the floor, pushing the right foot up into the hand, but then the hand pulls down with equal resistance. Good. And then bring both legs back into your butterfly shape, soles of the feet together, knees open. Okay, right hand's going to slide to the right thigh as a reminder to keep that leg heavy, weighted. You can bring the left knee in, hold on to the shin, or you can take it into that half happy baby, any variation. Feel the knees reach away from one another, right knee going forward to the right, left knee going up to the left. And then lift the right knee up towards the ceiling so that right foot is stamped on the ground. You can stay here or start to straighten the leg any amount. And think about pressing forward through that right heel, down through the left thigh, up through the left foot, but that left arm is pulling down equally. Good. And then release one more time into that butterfly shape, soles of the feet together, knees open. Have a little sense of the soles of the feet pushing into one another and the knees moving out in opposite directions. Good. And then from here, you'll roll over to a side, come up to a seat. We're gonna do one more kind of passive stretch, and then we'll get into a little bit of more active movement. So we're gonna come into a 90-90 sit with the right leg in front. Actually, I think I'm gonna turn to face that way. So right leg is in front. So the shin, right shin is parallel to the front edge of my mat. And then my left knee tucks behind. So right hip to right knee to right heel is 190-degree angle. And then left hip to left knee to left heel is the other 90-degree angle. 90-90. Okay, I'm gonna preface this by saying this may not be an inner thigh stretch for everyone. For some of you, it may work wonders. Okay, so you're gonna bring your hands behind your hips, fingertips, palms, or on blocks if you need to lift the ground, and lift your chest. And think about sending your left knee away from you. So the pelvis might turn a little bit, but you're thinking about lengthening that knee out as you lift your chest up. And for me, that goes deep into the groin, deep into the pelvis. If you're not feeling much, there's nothing wrong with you. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Good, one more breath. And then release and switch your legs so that left leg goes in front. That right knee tucks behind. Doesn't have to be perfect 90-degree angles, but just looking to line up those lines best as you can. And then hands come behind the hips. Push down into that support, whatever the hands are on, to lift the chest. And now think about that right knee going out and away from you. Good, one more breath. Lovely, and then let it go. Make your way to hands and knees, a little bit of cat-cow, and then eventually back to down dog. This is a good time to shed some layers if you're wearing too many layers like I am. So a little bit of cat-cow, your own spinal movement. Maybe 30 seconds or so to move, stretch. If you're opting out of down dog, what I'm going to suggest is taking a calf stretch from hands and knees. So if you're not going into down dog, just quickly so you have a visual, you'll stretch one leg back, the toes curled under, and kind of pulse, and you'll do that on each side. If down dog's okay, then you're going to meet me there. So you're going to lift your knees off the ground, lift your hips and thighs back. And then we're going to do a calf stretch from here. So we're going to step that right foot forward a couple inches. Not an exaggerated amount, but just a few inches forward from the left. And then bend your right knee and push that left heel down and back. It's like you want to drag that heel off the mat. It's like you're trying to slide it off the floor. Good. Push the ground away with both hands. And then back to your classical down dog. Line the feet up. And then step that left foot forward. Bend your left knee. Now push that right heel down and drag it back. Ooh. Good. And then back to that traditional down dog. Last breath, we'll bend both knees, lift your hips and thighs, and then as you start to straighten the legs, if you're going to, push those heels down and drag them back. Not locking the knees out, but think about the heels sliding back. All right, either from down dog or you can come back to hands and knees. We're going to step the right foot forward and wide. You're kind of aiming for where that right hand is and bring your left knee down. Okay, so both hands are inside the foot, and this is where blocks can come in handy and grab your blocks or whatever stable structure you need. You might pivot the right toes a little bit out to the right. And then we're going to start by letting the hips come forward. So stretching that right inner thigh, right groin, hopefully the top of the left thigh. You can push the hands down to keep that chest lifted. Good. All right. Keep the left knee down. You're going to walk the hands back, the hips back as you straighten that right leg, keeping the wider stance though. And put a little bend in that right knee, so it's not perfectly straight, and push that heel down into the floor. Exciting things are happening. And keep pushing that heel down as you start to re-straighten the leg by pulling those hips back. And I don't know why, I'm going to file that under. I'm not sure why, but it just makes it that much more intense for me. And you don't have to get it completely straight, definitely not by locking the knee out, but trying to pull that thigh back into the pelvis. Good. One more breath. And then forward back through that lunge. And then your choice, back to down dog or back to tabletop. And then switch sides. Left foot forward and wide. Right knee down. You might pivot those left toes a little bit out to the left. We're going to start with the lunge, so you can let your hips be heavy, but push the hands down, lift the chest. Are you ready? I mean, I picked hamstrings, but I'm still like, every time I'm like, well, I don't know if I really want to do it. Okay, pull your hips back and walk the hands back with you. Keep a little bend in that left knee and push the heel down into the floor. Keep that activation. So keep pushing the heel down and then maybe start to re-straighten any degree and breathe and not bite off your tongue. You could imagine that left femur, that left thigh bone moving into the pelvis deeper. It's like driving a stake into the ground. Sometimes those analogies don't land. Okay, forward back through the lunge. And again, your choice, down dog or hands and knees. And then eventually walking or stepping those feet up and making your way up to standing, or however you want to get there. Ooh. All right, grab your blanket. If you don't have a blanket, you're going to roll up maybe a third of your yoga mat. So you can roll up your yoga mat, or if you have a separate blanket. Oh, and I do remember you want blocks. Now it's all coming back to me. Okay, the thicker you make this roll, the more it's going to be for your calves. So that might determine, depending on how your calves are feeling. Well, that's too ambitious for me. I'm going to go the longer way. You might decide, I don't need a very thick roll today. And that roll is going to go across your mat towards the front third. And then I'm guessing you're going to want blocks or a coffee table out in front of the blanket. Because we want hands on blocks on something stable. Because we're going to step the balls of the feet onto the blanket roll, but keep the heels on the mat. So I don't want you trying to hold yourself up. So something is under the hands. However you need to get yourself situated. All right. Are you ready? It might depend on what's coming. Take a moment to assess. Is that enough blanket roll? Do you need thicker, thinner? And then put some weight in your hands. You're going to lift both heels off the ground and lift your butt up towards the ceiling, like you're putting on a pair of high heels. And then keep those hips lifted. Imagine someone had their hands around your hips, pulling them up towards the ceiling. So they're not going to lose any height, but you're going to slowly put those heels back to the floor. So hips stay up, heels start to go down. Slower the better. Hips are lifting, heels are descending. And then once those heels come all the way down, you get to choose. You can take a breath here, spine and halfway lift, especially if that's better for the back. If this is enough for the calves, or some of you might drape your spine and drop your head and take a breath in a fold. And then we're all going to meet back in that halfway lift. We're going to keep the right foot on the blanket roll, step that left foot back for a pyramid-like shape. So both legs are straight. The difference is that right foot is still on the blanket roll. Left heel can be lifted if that's better for the sacrum and the back, or just easier for those hamstrings. Or for a little challenge for the back calf muscle, you can try to get the heel down. All right, hands are still on something. All right, we are gonna lift that left heel for a moment off the ground and walk the hands and the blocks forward, like the upper body wants to do down dog. And then keep reaching the arms forward. Push the hands into the block and start to pull your hips and thighs back as you send that left heel back to the floor and feel like you want to drag that left heel back in space. So you're folding a little more over the legs. You're keeping those arms active, pushing the hands down. You're pushing the ball of the right foot into that blanket roll. Top of the right thigh is moving back in space. Head is neither just drooping down, you're not craning forward. Hello, hamstring. Take one more breath. Good. And then look forward. Take as many hops as you need to get that left foot back on the roll next to the right. Hands on something stable. I'm laughing because my right leg feels so much longer than my left. All right, you're going to lift both heels again. Lift your hips high. Hips stay high. Start to drop those heels and think about the inner heels leading the way. They're going a little faster. Hips are still being pulled up towards the ceiling. And then you can take that breath here in the halfway lift, or take a breath draping the spine, drop the head. And then back into the halfway lift if you're folding. We're going to step the right foot back, heel up or heel down. And then let's pick up that back heel maybe an inch, not much. Walk the hands forward, stretch the arms forward, and then start to send your hips back as you push that left heel or right heel, down, and feel like you want to drag that right heel back in space. Good. One more breath. And then look forward. Take as many steps as you need to get that right foot next to the left. Last time with both feet on that blanket roll. Lift your heels, lift your hips. Keep the hips lifted. Start to drop those heels back down. Good. Last breath, either choosing to stay in the halfway lift or folding. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then we'll all step back off the blanket roll. You might keep your hands on the blocks. It almost feels a little disorienting for me at first. And then hands to hips, halfway. And then come the rest of the way up. And it might be good to take a little walk around the room. You've got new legs. Or just kind of shake things out. And you can move the blankets out of the way. Move the blocks off to the side. All right, and then standing at the front of your mat, I'm going to engage the legs a little bit now, move into a little bit of strengthening. So just standing, and if balance feels wobbly, you can go near a wall. You can hold on to something like a dresser or a desk. But we're going to lift that right leg up. So a little bit of a hip hike, like you're taking a step up a staircase. And then you can stay here or try to straighten that leg. My quads instantly go, that's not happening. So you might keep the knee bent, might move towards straight. Maybe you take the arms up, drive down through that left heel, go up through the waist, make sure you're not tucking your pelvis here. Good. And then arms down, right foot down. Shimmy if you need to, and then shift over to that second side. Bring that left foot up like you're walking up a staircase. Maybe straighten the leg a little or a lot. It's hard for me to do that and not tuck my pelvis. Just trying to keep your neutral spine. Hands can be on something, arms could go up to the ceiling. Good. And then both feet down, arms down. Again, if you need a little wiggle. And then finding your nice tall mountain pose. Steady on your legs. Head right above the shoulders. And then inhale the arms up. Exhale, forward bending. And inhale to lengthen. And then either back to down dog or to tabletop, hands and knees. You'll step one foot back, then the other. But if you're choosing down dog, maybe take a breath, bend both knees, and then straighten the legs by pushing the heels down and dragging them back. Good. And then we're going to all meet in tabletop. And we are going to be on the knees for a moment. So if you want to pad the knees, we're also going to be on the wrists for a moment so you can come onto fists, or as we sometimes do, grab those blocks, forearms to blocks. Okay, we're going to get into those hamstrings and glutes with a little more vigor. All right, finding your neutral. And generally to help me do that, I go to either extreme. So you really lift the tailbone like you're doing cow pose. And then you really tuck the tailbone like you're doing cat. And then you try to find that middle path. I'm not doing either extreme. All right, you're going to keep the right knee bent. You're going to kick the heel up towards the ceiling. And then bring the knee back down. We're going to stay with this right side. So you kick the foot up and bring it back down. Now, you might have to imagine there's a heavy load, some resistance. You're at the gym, you're pushing some weights up, or you have a resistance band looped around that foot. But as you kick up, you're not letting the spine bow anymore. So if you kick too high, your back's going to bend, and we're not really in that glute. So it might just be little pulses. How's the weight in the hands? Can you even it out a little bit? Make sure the head is still lifted. At 3, 2, and 1. And then bring that knee back down. Extend the leg back behind you. And bring the top of the foot to the ground. You're going to lift that leg with a straight leg and lower. So lifting and lowering. Again, you're probably not going to go very high. If ambition takes over and you want to lift higher, probably means you're getting more into the spine. You're tapping up and down, up and down. Trying not to sag in the chest. You know, it's a lot on the hands if you need to shift into fists. Grab those blocks. Head's not drooping. Good, 3 more. 2, 1. Keep that leg behind you. Now turn the leg out so the toes go out, the heel comes in. Same thing, this is the last one on this side. So lifting up and down. A little bit more into that outer hip. That left side getting jealous, or maybe it's getting nervous. Good, 3, 2, and 1. Woo. All right, knee down. If you need to break off the hands, take it. Little wrist stretches, just shake them out, because we have a whole other side to do. All right, left side. We're going to start with the bent knee position. Find your neutral if you need to go through those 2 extremes, neutral spine. And then with a bent knee, you kick the heel up and bring the knee back down. Kick the heel up and back down. Yes, we're focusing on the legs, but every now and then check in. How's the weight in the hands and the arms? Where's the position of your head? Can you push off that ground a little bit more? Good, 3 more. 2, 1. And then extend the leg, top of the foot down, straight leg lifts. Lift up and tap, up and tap. Good, 3 more. Last one. Then turn that leg out, toes out, heel in, lift and lower. Even harder for me to keep that right hip hugging in. Notice that your hips aren't swinging out to the right. That left hand is still holding some weight. Good, 3 more. Nine, last one. Good, lower. Come all the way down onto your belly. If you need a little bit more wrist stretch, go for it first. And you're gonna come up onto your elbows, your forearms for Sphinx pose. So we're gonna try to get the hamstrings a little bit more from this position. So you're gonna push those arms down and lift your chest and try to keep your chest lifted the whole time. So you're gonna wanna sink down, but I want you to resist that urge and keep yourself lifted. All right, from here, you're gonna bend the right knee with a flexed heel, and you're gonna kick twice, like you wanna kick yourself in the butt, and then you point the toes and extend the leg. So right side again, you kick twice, point, and extend. Kick, kick, point, and extend. And have you already, like me, sunk down into your chest? Push the ground down. You want to feel a little bit of core support. You're squeezing that hamstring as you kick, kick, and then let it relax. Kick, kick, release. 3 more. Last one. Good. And then if you need to wiggle around, press those arms down, lift the chest, left side, flex the ankle, kick twice, point and extend. Kick twice, point and extend. Keep going. And 3 more. Push those arms down, lift the chest. Last one. Good. And then lower all the way down. Stack your palms, rest your head. And then bend that right knee. So the bottom of the foot points up towards the ceiling. You're going to kick the heel up towards the ceiling and lower back down. So you keep the bend, press up and down. Keep the hips down as you're going. Again, you're not going so high that you're using your back to lift the leg. You to feel it in the hamstring, maybe right where the hamstring and the glute meet, that ham butt. Did 3 more. Last one. Ooh, release that leg, bend the left knee, flex the foot, press it up and down. Up and down. Remember, the hips stay down. Not cranking in your back. And 3 more. Last one. Oh, release. Okay, one more activating thing. That's it. Legs are wide. And you'll bend your knees and try to bring the soles of the feet towards one another. You may not get the whole bottom of the foot together, but just the inner edge, that big toe, inner heel. And when I did that, I wanted to take my knees wider, so you might even slide those knees a little further. And then press the feet into one another. Try to lift your knees off the ground. Lift those knees, lift those thighs, press the feet together. Head is heavy, shoulders are down. Lift, 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 kick, kick, kick. Good. 3 more breaths. Last breath. And then release. Stretch those legs back, rock the hips side to side. And then coming up through tabletop. And you can either stay there and take your calf stretch, one leg back and then the other, or continue on to down dog, take that calf stretch from down dog. Okay, and then you're going to get yourself into a standing wide straddle. You could do it from dog and step 1 foot forward, or you can come all the way to standing and then pivot on your mat. So however you want to take care of your body to get into that wide straddle. So your toes are facing the same way. We're going to start folding down the center. So if you want slide blocks or props under the hands. And feel the hips and thighs move back. The chest move forward, even if you're folding down. So that chest keeps moving away from the pelvis. In this first round, you're going to take whatever you want to release the backs of the legs after all that strengthening. You want to sway, you want to twist, any arm bind variation. Good. Take one more breath. If you're folding all the way in, come back up halfway. You're going to heel toe the feet in, maybe 1 footprint. It's going to depend on the length of your legs. It might be 2 or how wide you were stretched out. And we're going to turn the toes out, bend the knees, and then bring your forearms, your elbows onto those thighs. So you're in a deep, deep goddess squat. So back into the inner thighs. You can slide your hands down and grab onto the shins, and then use those elbows to kind of push the legs back. Hips are going back, butt's going back, and chest is going forward. You can use the hands on the shins to help anchor you, or just arms on the legs and kind of pushing back. But stick your butt back like you're going down into a deep seat. Good. Chest is not rounding. Take a few more breaths. Good. And then slowly you'll straighten those legs, swing the heels back out, and one more time back into that forward fold, releasing the inner thighs, releasing those hamstrings, or halfway lift, but with straight legs. If you're folding all the way, come back up halfway. Now we're going to go into that narrower squat. So you'll heel toe the feet in, maybe hip width or slightly wider. Toes turned out. You're going to drop the butt down between the heels. And this does require a lot of ankle flexion. So if the ankles don't want to bend like that, you might still have that blanket roll. You could slide it under the backs of the heels. So you bring the ground up and you help out the ankles. You could also grab a block or a couple blocks and sit on something, give yourself a little chair. And you get those arms down inside the legs and push back with the arms, but squeeze in a little bit with the legs. Good. Tailbone is dropping. Sometimes I like to do this with my back against a wall, like a nice support. And maybe close the eyes. Okay, we are going to come down to a seat, and you can, if you feel comfortable, just sit down. You need to stand up and then make your way down, however you want to plop to the mat, butt to the floor. All right, soles of the feet together. You're in the home stretch. Just some stretching for those inner thighs now. Soles of the feet together. Since we're looking at the inner thighs, bringing the hips just a smidge closer than maybe you normally would to the heels. You can hold on to the ankles or the shins, and then leaning forward a little bit and add a little sway, a little rock side to side. So teeter from one hip to the other. Or you could always bring the hands out in front of you as you sway. And then settling a few breaths into some version of a fold, letting that head drop, letting there be a fullness to the back of the body. This breath. Lifting yourself up. And then your choice, you can stay seated and take the legs out into a straddle if you need to boost yourself up on the edge of something. And then making your way into a fold with a little bit of rocking, a little bit of swaying. If this is not a happy place for you, then coming onto your back with that strap, taking both feet into the belt, both feet into the air, and then taking a wide straddle from here. You can use the hands to hold onto the belt. You might even rock a little bit side to side on the back of the pelvis. So you can choose one more dedicated inner thigh stretch. Do you want to add the spine or not? And wherever you are, give yourself just a couple more moments, couple more breaths. And then undoing the shape you're in, and we'll all meet on our backs. You can come onto your back. We are moving towards Shavasana, so if you want to cover yourself first with your own sweater, socks. Ball is in the air here. Couldn't be more excited. Making sure you're warm, and then when you come down, you want to hug the knees in, rock a bit side to side. If you want to end with a full happy baby, or another few breaths in that butterfly shape, soles of the feet together, knees open. And then eventually determining where you want to spend the last few minutes in quiet reflection in a reclining shape, seated meditation. You can move to the wall, take your legs up the wall, or swing the legs over a couch. And we're going to take a few minutes together just to be quiet, buffer before you head back into the remainder of the day and the week. And I'll let you know when it's time to move on. Otherwise, just giving yourself lots of freedom to sink, to drop in, to not make any more decisions. Just rest. Staying soft in the body. Take a slow breath in, slow breath out. And welcoming several more of those as you start to move and stretch. Taking whatever path you want to a side and up to a seat. Finding that gesture you'd like to close with. A final moment of reflection, anything that you want to carry with you. Closing together with a slow breath in, a generous breath out. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.